Hans settled into his wooden chair on the porch, watching the sun set over the hills of New Terra Colony. His dog Daisy rested her head on his lap, her warm brown eyes looking up at him with pure love. He scratched behind her ears, feeling the tension in his shoulders ease. "Just you and me against the world, girl," he said quietly. 5 years had passed since Han left the military. 5 years of trying to forget what they had turned him into. The scars on his body told only part of the story. The real damage lay beneath his skin, the neural implants, bone reinforcements, and combat systems that once made him the perfect soldier. Daisy whined softly and pushed her nose against his hand. She always seemed to know when his thoughts drifted to darker places. Hans smiled. Before Daisy, he'd spent months unable to sleep, haunted by the faces of those he'd killed as Phantom, the military's most effective operative. "Time for dinner," he said, rising from his chair. Daisy bounded ahead, her tail wagging with excitement. Their cabin sat 20 kilometers from the nearest settlement, just as Han preferred. He'd built it himself, a simple structure with solar panels and a small garden. The isolation kept him safe from questions about his past. It kept others safe from what he might become if his combat systems ever reactivated. After dinner, Han checked the security perimeter. Old habits died hard before preparing for bed. Government alerts had mentioned new alien visitors to the colony, but Han paid little attention to politics these days. The Take delegation had arrived to discuss trade agreements, or so the reports claimed. Their ships had been spotted in the southern hemisphere, far from his northern hideaway. Daisy curled up at the foot of his bed as she did every night, a warm presence that kept the nightmares at bay. Morning brought the sound of birds and Daisy's cold nose pressing against Han's face. Their day followed the usual routine, a long walk through the forest, checking traps for small game, and tending the garden. By mid-afternoon, Han realized they needed supplies that couldn't wait until the weekly market day. "Want go for a ride?" he asked Daisy, who barked her approval. She loved riding in his old truck, head out the window, ears flapping in the wind. The settlement's market was busier than usual. Whispers about the Take visitors filled the air. Han kept his head down, quickly gathering what he needed. "They don't look friendly," said Miho, the elderly storekeeper, as he wrapped Han's purchases. "Tall, gray-skinned creatures with too many fingers and not enough expressions." Han nodded politely but offered no opinion. He had seen his share of alien species during his service, some friendly, others decidedly not. "Be careful out there," Miho added. "Their ships have been spotted outside their assigned zones." On the drive home, Han noticed unusual readings on his truck's scanner. Something large had landed within 5 kilometers of his property. Government ships would have broadcast identification signals. This was something else. He patted Daisy's head. "Let's take the long way home, girl." The detour added 30 minutes to their journey. When they finally reached the cabin, the scanner showed no unusual activity nearby. Han relaxed slightly, unloading supplies while Daisy chased butterflies in the yard. The next morning, Han needed to repair a section of fence on the far side of his property. "Stay here, Daisy," he instructed, knowing she preferred to explore the woods when left alone. The repair took longer than expected. The sun was high overhead when Han finally headed back, looking forward to lunch with his faithful companion. He was halfway home when he heard it, a high-pitched yelp of pain that turned his blood cold. Han broke into a run, his dormant combat systems sending warning signals through his nervous system for the first time in years. When he reached the clearing near his cabin, he saw them, 3 tall, gray figures standing over a small, motionless form. Daisy lay on her side, a dark stain spreading across her golden fur. One of the aliens held a weapon that glowed with energy. "Threat neutralized," one of them said in heavily accented Common. "Primitive creature approached our survey team." Han fell to his knees beside Daisy, gathering her broken body in his arms. Her breathing came in short, pained gasps, but her tail thumped weakly when she recognized him. "Why?" Han asked, his voice barely a whisper. The tallest Take gestured dismissively. The animal was aggressive. "We followed standard protocol." Daisy whimpered, licking Han's hand one last time before her eyes closed forever. Something shifted inside Han, like gears long rusted suddenly breaking free. Status indicators flashed across his vision as dormant systems initiated emergency protocols. His neural implants sparked to life, flooding his system with combat data. His hands, still cradling Daisy's body, stopped trembling. "You made a mistake," Han said quietly, his eyes now cold and calculating as he looked up at the confused aliens. "A very big mistake." Han buried Daisy as the sun began to set. He dug the grave with his bare hands, refusing to use tools, letting the physical pain distract him from the hollow feeling in his chest. He placed her favorite toy, a worn blue ball, beside her before covering the grave with earth and marking it with stones. Inside his cabin, Han moved with mechanical precision. He pulled up the loose floorboard under his bed, revealing a metal case he had hoped never to open again. The military-grade container required his thumbprint, voice confirmation, and a 16-digit code that only he knew. The lid hissed open, revealing the tools of his former life. Neural interface connectors gleamed under the cabin's dim light. A small communication device lay next to them, untouched for 5 years. Han's hands trembled slightly as he picked it up. When activated, the device projected a small holographic screen. Han entered a series of codes he had memorized and never forgotten. After several moments of static, a woman's face appeared. "Identification required," she said sharply, her eyes widening as recognition dawned. "Han? Is that really you?" "Hello, Captain Kim," Han replied, his voice flat. "Your signal disappeared 5 years ago. We thought you were dead." Captain Kim leaned closer to her screen. "Why are you contacting us now?" "I need information on the Take delegation." Captain Kim's expression hardened. "This is a secure channel, so I'll be direct. They're not what they claim to be. Our intelligence shows their diplomatic mission is actually a scouting operation. They're mapping our defenses, testing our responses." "They killed my dog today," Han said. "Said she was aggressive." Captain Kim was silent for a moment. "They're pushing boundaries, Han. Seeing what they can get away with." Han nodded slowly. "They've found their answer." After ending the transmission, Han removed his shirt, revealing the faint surgical scars that marked where his combat implants had been integrated. He attached the neural connectors to specific points on his back, neck, and temples. Pain shot through his body as dormant systems reconnected. Status indicators flashed across his vision. Combat systems, reactivating. Neural interface, connected. Physical enhancements, online. Tactical assessment, processing. Han gasped as information flooded his consciousness. His senses sharpened. He could hear a mouse scurrying in the walls, smell the ozone from approaching rain, see dust particles floating in the air. His mind processed input at inhuman speeds, calculating probabilities and tactical options. He moved to the small shed behind his cabin. Behind a false wall lay the rest of his past, a suit of advanced tactical armor designed to work with his enhancements. The black material was lightweight but stronger than steel, with built-in systems that increased his already formidable abilities. As Han suited up, memories surfaced of operations he had performed as Phantom. The countless missions where he had been less than human, more like a weapon aimed at targets by his handlers. He had been the best, completing assignments others couldn't survive. He'd left that life behind when the nightmares became too much, when he could no longer tell if the voice in his head was his own or his programming. Daisy had brought him back, taught him to be human again. Now she was gone, and with her, his reason to resist what he truly was. Han accessed colony security networks through his implants, locating the Take base 7 kilometers south of his property. 26 life forms registered on his scan. Their defensive systems were advanced but familiar enough to his tactical database. His enhanced vision picked up the tracks left by the Take patrol that had killed Daisy. 3 sets of footprints. His systems identified them instantly: standard reconnaissance pattern, light weaponry, minimal armor. Overconfident. Han's body felt different now, lighter and more powerful as his enhancements fully integrated. He could feel his heart rate adjust, his muscles respond with perfect efficiency, his mind clear of emotional distractions. He packed minimal supplies and weapons. He wouldn't need much. His body itself was the most lethal weapon in his arsenal. Before leaving, Han took one last look at Daisy's grave. A single drop of rain fell on the fresh earth. Something inside him, something still human, ached at the sight. The tactical interface suggested he suppress emotional responses for optimal performance. For the first time in 5 years, Han accepted the suggestion, feeling a cold clarity replace his grief. In the growing darkness, Han moved silently through the forest toward the take base. His footsteps left almost no trace. His breathing was controlled and silent. His enhanced vision cut through the shadows as if it were daylight. The first raindrops began to fall as Han disappeared into the night, becoming once again the ghost soldier they had named Phantom. The Take had no records of Earth's classified enhancement programs. They had no idea what they had awakened. They had killed a dog, thinking it just an animal. They would soon learn it had been the only thing keeping the monster at bay. The rain continued through the night, turning the forest floor into soft mud that recorded every footprint except Han's. He moved like a shadow between the trees, his enhanced body barely disturbing the environment around him. His tactical gear adjusted to the background, breaking up his human outline. 2 kilometers from the take base, Han encountered the first perimeter sensors. Basic motion detectors, easily fooled. He disabled 3 of them, leaving the rest operational. A complete sensor failure would trigger immediate alarm, but a few malfunctioning units would likely be blamed on the weather. Through his enhanced vision, Han observed the base, a temporary installation with a central command structure surrounded by smaller units. Guards patrolled in pairs, their weapons ready but their posture relaxed. They didn't expect threats on this peaceful mission. Han's tactical system identified patrol routes, blind spots, and optimal entry points. It also tagged primary targets, communications array, power generators, and the command center. His first move was simple. He redirected a perimeter sensor to create a false alert on the far side of the camp. When 2 guards went to investigate, Han slipped past their position. Inside the base perimeter, he moved quickly to the communications array. His neural interface connected wirelessly with their systems, downloading their transmission logs while planting a subtle program that would create increasing interference in their communications. The logs confirmed Captain Kim's assessment. This was no diplomatic mission. The Take were mapping human settlements, studying defenses, and noting exploitable weaknesses. Sector 17 clear, a voice said in the darkness. Han froze, becoming nearly invisible as a Take patrol passed within 3 meters of his position. These soldiers were different, better armed and more alert than the perimeter guards. Elite hunters. Han waited until they passed before continuing toward the power grid. As he approached, his tactical display flagged movement, a lone Take technician performing maintenance. The alien never saw Han coming. One moment he was adjusting settings on a control panel, the next, a hand clamped over his mouth while another applied precise pressure to nerve centers in his neck. The technician slumped unconscious, hidden behind equipment where he wouldn't be found immediately. Han placed small devices on key power nodes, not to destroy them, but to create unpredictable fluctuations that would strain both equipment and nerves. By dawn, the Take base was experiencing technical difficulties. Communications dropped intermittently. Power surged and dimmed in random sectors. Security cameras showed false readings. Commander Rill called his security team together as alarms sounded for the 3rd time with no clear cause. Report, he demanded. 3 perimeter guards missing, Commander, the security chief responded. Last contact was 2 hours ago near the western sector. Equipment malfunction? Possibly, but the chief hesitated. We found this. He placed a small object on the table. A Take communication device, smashed beyond repair. And this was attached to it. He unfolded a piece of cloth with strange markings. Rill's eyes narrowed. What is it? A human symbol, sir. A dog's paw print. Rill dismissed the superstitious murmurs from his officers. Find the guards. Double security on all sectors. These primitives are trying to intimidate us. Outside the command center, Han listened through the walls using his enhanced hearing. His tactical systems recorded every voice, building profiles of the command structure. When a four-member patrol left to search for the missing guards, Han followed them silently. One by one, he separated them from the group, leaving each unconscious but alive. To the last one, he whispered a message before disappearing back into the forest. By midday, the take base was in chaos. Half their reconnaissance teams were missing. Power failures had escalated. Commander Rill ordered all personnel to fall back to defensive positions around the command center. What did it say? Rill demanded of the lone returning patrol member, who trembled visibly. The human appeared from nowhere, Commander. Faster than any being I've seen. The soldier's voice shook. He said to tell you, Daisy's human is coming for you. Rill accessed the reconnaissance logs, scanning until he found the incident report from the previous day. 3 soldiers, a warning shot fired at an approaching animal near a human dwelling. The creature had died. A trivial matter, barely worth noting. The base's main power failed suddenly, emergency lights casting long shadows across the command center. Secure all entrances, Rill ordered. No human can breach our defenses. As darkness fell again, the take huddled in their base, weapons pointed outward, jumping at shadows. Outside, Han moved methodically, dismantling their defenses piece by piece. Not rushing, not raging, calculating every move with cold precision. The message he'd sent was spreading through the take ranks, whispered from soldier to soldier with growing fear. Daisy's human was coming, and nothing would stop him. The take commander paced inside the reinforced command center, surrounded by his remaining officers. 3 days had passed since the first signs of trouble. 3 days of vanishing patrols, equipment failures, and growing fear. This is unacceptable, Rill snapped. One human cannot defeat an entire take force. His lieutenant, June, studied the security feeds. The human doesn't engage directly. He strikes and disappears. Our sensors can barely track him. I want our battlecruiser recalled from orbit, Rill decided. We'll eliminate this threat and the entire settlement if necessary. Communications remain unstable, sir, June reported. We can send basic transmissions, but... A voice crackled over the command center speakers, interrupting him. Your communications are exactly as stable as I allow them to be. The take officers froze. June quickly traced the signal. He's tapped into our internal systems. Human, Rill addressed the air around him, whatever grievance you have. You know my grievance, Han's voice replied coldly. You killed something important to me. Rill gestured for June to locate the intruder while he kept talking. The animal approached our patrol. Standard procedure. Her name was Daisy, Han interrupted. She was gentle. She never harmed anyone. June signaled that he had triangulated the transmission source just outside the western perimeter. This is war, human, Rill warned. Your colony will suffer for your actions. The transmission cut off. Rill immediately dispatched his best remaining squad to the western perimeter. They moved quickly through the darkened base, weapons charged to maximum power. The squad leader reported back minutes later. Perimeter secure, Commander. We found a small transmission device attached to our communications array. No sign of the human. He's leading us around, June realized. Making us waste resources. Rill slammed his fist on the console. Assemble all remaining troops. We'll force this human to face us directly. Outside the base, Han observed the take movements through his tactical display. Their patterns were becoming predictable, concentrated defenses, minimal offensive action. They were trapped in their own base, afraid to venture out. Han's enhanced body needed little rest. For 3 days, he had maintained constant pressure, never directly attacking, but always present, always watching. The psychological impact was devastating. Take soldiers fired at shadows. Equipment malfunctioned at critical moments. Supplies dwindled as no one dared leave the base. Now, Han prepared for direct contact. His tactical systems had identified the take's weakness, their rigid command structure. Without clear orders, individual soldiers struggled to adapt. As night fell, the take gathered in defensive formation around their command center. Floodlights illuminated the perimeter, leaving no shadows for an attacker to hide in. "Hold position," Rill ordered. "If it's our cruiser, we'll end this immediately." A small object landed in the center of the take formation. Not an explosive, a simple handheld device. It projected a holographic image of a dog, golden fur, friendly eyes, wearing a blue collar. "Daisy," Han's voice came from everywhere at once. "Remember her face." The floodlights failed simultaneously. In the sudden darkness, confusion erupted among the take ranks. When emergency lighting activated seconds later, 3 soldiers had vanished without a sound. "Where is he?" The take soldier cried out, firing blindly into the night. "Everywhere," came the whispered reply directly behind him. Han moved through the take formation like water, his enhanced speed making him nearly invisible. He disabled weapons, separated groups, and created chaos within their carefully organized defense. Inside the command center, Rill watched in horror as his forces scattered. "Stand your ground," he shouted over the communication channel. "They cannot hear you," Han's voice said from the doorway. Rill and June spun around, weapons raised. Han stood there, his tactical suit absorbing and redirecting the light around him. His face remained in shadow, but his eyes reflected the emergency lights, cold, calculating. "Impossible," June whispered. "The doors are sealed." "What are you?" Rill demanded. "Something your intelligence failed to discover," Han replied. "Earth didn't share everything with the galactic community. Some projects remained hidden." June fired his weapon. The energy blast should have vaporized any human. Instead, Han's suit absorbed the energy, redistributing it in a wave that knocked both take officers backward. "Your soldiers outside are disabled, not killed," Han said, approaching slowly. "I'm not like you. I don't kill without purpose." Rill struggled to his feet. The animal was a threat. "Her name was Daisy," Han corrected him. "She was a dog. My dog. The only living thing that kept me human." His hand moved faster than either take could track, disarming them both. "I want you to understand something before the end," Han said quietly. "The dog you killed so casually was kind. She was innocent. She was mine. And killing her was the last mistake your forces will ever make." The take battleship entered New Terra Colony's atmosphere, its weapons systems powering up as it descended toward the coordinates of the distress signal. Inside the command center, Rill watched Han with a mixture of fear and defiance. "Our ship carries enough firepower to level this entire region," Rill said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Surrender now, and perhaps your colony will be spared." Han stood motionless, his enhanced senses detecting the approaching vessel. His tactical systems calculated options, presenting them in his field of vision. The take commander did not understand that the battleship's arrival changed nothing. "You still think this is about winning," Han said quietly. "It's not. It's about consequences." He raised his hand to his neural interface, establishing a connection with the take base's remaining communication system. Complex code streamed through his consciousness as he bypassed security protocols and accessed the battleship's command frequency. "What are you doing?" June demanded, watching Han's expressionless face. "Teaching a lesson," Han replied. Above them, the take battleship suddenly veered off course, its engines sputtering as conflicting commands flooded its navigation system. Warning lights flashed across its bridge as weapon systems went offline one by one. "Impossible," Rill whispered. "Our systems are isolated." "Your encryption was designed to stop conventional hackers," Han explained. "I'm not conventional." His enhanced mind worked through millions of calculations per second, disabling the battleship's offensive capabilities while keeping life support and basic flight systems operational. The ship would survive, but it would not fight today. "You don't understand what you've done," Rill said, desperation creeping into his voice. "This act of war will bring the full might of the Take Empire down on your world." A new voice crackled over the communication system. "This is Captain Kim of Earth Defense Force. Take vessel, power down immediately. You are in violation of Treaty Section 12, prohibiting unauthorized military action in colony space. Han's lips curved in a slight smile. You were never alone here. Your reconnaissance failed to detect our hidden defenses. Through the command center viewport, they could see 3 Earth vessels decloaking, their weapons trained on the disabled Take battleship. Han, Captain Kim's voice came through his private channel. We've been monitoring since you activated your systems. Stand down. We'll handle this officially. For a moment, Han stood at a crossroads. His tactical systems presented the most efficient course of action: eliminate the Take command structure, ensuring they could never threaten him again. His finger hovered over the trigger of his weapon, Daisy's final moments replaying in his mind. Your enhancement program was unauthorized, Rill said, mistaking Han's hesitation for weakness. The Galactic Council will condemn your government when they learn humans have developed such weapons. I'm not a weapon, Han replied softly. I'm what happens when you force someone to become one. He lowered his weapon slightly. The Council will also learn that humans can show mercy, even when it isn't deserved. Earth Defense Forces breached the compound minutes later, securing the surviving Take and their disabled equipment. Captain Kim found Han standing alone outside the command center, looking up at the stars. You could have killed them all, she observed. Daisy wouldn't have wanted that, Han answered simply. The incident triggered a full diplomatic crisis. Earth revealed evidence of the Take's true mission, forcing a renegotiation of interstellar treaties. New protocols were established, including strict guidelines for interaction with all Earth lifeforms, not just humans. 3 months later, Han stood on his porch, watching a transport ship depart with the last of the Take delegation. Their replacement ambassadors had arrived with formal apologies and reparations for the colony. Captain Kim's vehicle appeared on the horizon, kicking up dust as it approached his property. She had visited weekly since the incident, monitoring his systems, making sure the enhanced soldier remained in control of the weapon. The Oversight Committee has questions, she said as she stepped from the vehicle. They're concerned about reactivated Phantom soldiers operating independently. Han nodded. Tell them I'm no threat to Earth. And to others, she asked carefully. Only if they deserve it, he replied. Captain Kim sighed. There's something else. The refugee center in town is overwhelmed with animals abandoned during the crisis. They asked if you might consider. Han followed her gaze to her vehicle, where a small brown puppy sat in the passenger seat, watching him with curious eyes. I don't know, Han said, his voice uncertain. I couldn't replace Daisy. No one's asking you to, Kim replied. But maybe you both need someone. The puppy approached cautiously when released from the vehicle, its tail wagging hesitantly. Han knelt down, his enhanced systems automatically scanning the animal's elevated heart rate, mixture of fear and hope. It's okay, he said softly, extending his hand. I won't let anything happen to you. The puppy sniffed his fingers, then moved closer, pressing against his leg. Something tight in Han's chest loosened, a feeling he thought he'd never experience again. Captain Kim watched them quietly. What will you call him? Han looked toward Daisy's grave, marked with flowers that had begun to bloom. Second Chance, he said, gently stroking the puppy's head. Chance for short.